All right, welcome to Talking Investing. We should be live. Welcome, Alex. Welcome, Barry. We're 1 minute late. Welcome, George.
It was Tom's fault.
I lost track of time. We were talking about some crucial...
You know, not for nothing, but we should have a picture of both of us for the weekly update. I know you like to be seen with me in public, but
I got I got some good pictures.
Oh,
I got some pictures from when we were 18 years old. I got some...
I don't mind. Hey, part of life is what you look like. Is what you look like. I don't care.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna start gloating just so you guys know, and it gets when we get some more people in, just so you know, it's even hard to get my head through the door. Just so you guys all know.
George,
it's hard to get this head through the door.
George is feeling correct.
Really correct. Well, here's the thing. I went to my first number. Now, do you believe me that we get to my second number? That's my question.
Let's give everybody a reminder. What was your second number?
My second number is under $10,000.
Ooh, that hurts.
BTC. And you know what's funny? There's remember we were talking, this was months ago, we were talking, and there's all these sleepers for cryptocurrency. And this was a sleeper, right?
What?
I agree with you, by the way. Short squeeze next week, but that'd be awesome, wouldn't it? Bitfarm. Let's put that on our crypto channel, Tom.
I'm trying to catch up on the... Barry's asking, WTF, what happened to Bitfarms? I looked away for a bit. Yeah, you and me both. I mean, that went from red to up 7% to up 15%, and it closed up 22% on the day. And this thing was red earlier today. So this was a very strange day. This is the big board. Bitfarms up 22%, HUT down 8.5%. Now, Barry, I think, also said that they're having some legal issues with the electric company is near the bottom of that report. So I gotta dig in and see what's going on there, because they did take a hit. And what was weird was HUT, Marathon, and Riot were down about the same for the first half of the day. Those are the three stocks that have been outperforming everybody by far. So I just felt like, oh, you know what? Everybody else is going to have a green day, and they're going to pull back, and things even themselves out. But Marathon and Riot, they got close to back to zero, but HUT had a tough day. And Mawson had a tough day. DigiHost was down 4%, but there was some... Core Scientific was up 44%. Gree was up 28%. Iris Energy, 24%. I mean, these are... I don't know if you guys saw my video yesterday. This is exactly what I said yesterday should have looked like. Yesterday's action was very strange. Bitcoin was up. And now, of course, today, Bitcoin was down today. And it's what today's action looks like. Right? Because here's where Bitcoin closed yesterday at 18,000. So
Tom, I'm going to ask the question that everybody wants to know.
Fire away.
What is the best buy right now in Bitcoin miners? Which one? Who's the best deal? I have mine. Do you want me to go first?
You go first.
I'm going to say Cleanspark. Just so you know, let me qualify it a little bit. For longevity, if the price goes down to $8,000, if we start to see this $10,000 to $14,000 range, so which company makes it the longest? It's going to be between but then you got to look at the value, like the most upside too.
If we're going to have your gloom and doom scenario, if we're going to have business as usual and we're bouncing along the bottom and we have hit a new bottom, there's some extraordinary circumstances, but it took out my bottom that I stuck to that for 5 months and it broke. So we are now below that in uncharted territory. And if we're about to have another leg down, then not financial advice, but for me in the short term, I think Riot is very, very strong balance sheet, so that's a safe bet. Hut is a very strong balance sheet. And as much as I love CleanSpark, that would be, if you were going to say it was going to be business as usual, I would still say, even after Bitfarms went up 22% today, I still think CleanSpark and Bitfarms are crazy underpriced, and as are a lot of these still. They're not the only ones. I mean, with this big giant day, most of this stuff is still down around 90% from its highs from 2021.
No one has given. I have a question, and no one will answer it. Hello, everyone. No one will answer this question. What happened to El Salvador? No one's. They're saying that they just started to let people get their money out of FTT.
Oh, FTX.
FTX. Yeah, but isn't the token
FTT is their token? Yes.
So they just now, like today, and oh my God, did you hear how they lost the money? Oh my, I mean, this is insane, dude. I hope you guys tell me somebody heard this one. And if I didn't watch the interview with his girlfriend, I wouldn't believe it. You listen to these retards. Oh my goodness. I'm sorry, unbelievable.
What's the story? You haven't told us the story.
Oh,
yet.
You haven't heard the story yet? Hang on, there's only 43 people watching.
Well, you can't tee that up like that and then move on to the next thing.
Here's the story. The story is he has a girlfriend.
Who's
that
he again? What are we talking about?
The guy who owns FTT.
Sam Bankman-Fried.
Bacon off.
SBF. Oh, hold on. I gotta put a. What do you call it?
What? You gotta put a what?
This is I don't know what they call it in the industry.
I'm not going deep. I'm not gonna go deep on this.
You're mentioning Sam Bankman-Fried, and the headline on Yahoo is FTX files for bankruptcy. CEO Sam Bankman-Fried steps down.
Yeah, he steps down. No one can find him. He lost 97% of his value in less than 24 hours.
That's
So anyway, what he did was he has his girlfriend, and they were these venture capitalists, hedge funds. They thought anybody could be hedge funds. You know what I mean? And you should have heard the interview where she's talking about losses and talking about, well, we don't put a stopgap on when we short things.
It's and that's the two sides of the company. I don't think it was FTX that's struggling. I think FTX used a lot of the funds, gave it to Alameda Research, and that was where they were taking massive risks. And obviously,
didn't pay. It's like, dude, not for nothing, but here we are sitting here. Why wouldn't they call? I mean, I hear it and I see it, and it hurts. You know what I mean? To know all these people lost money. I mean, I don't see it coming back.
There's a lot of money tied up. There's a lot of people that are probably going to lose money. For some reason, I cannot. I'm a technical difficulty person. I can't figure out my chat. It just keeps going by, and so for everybody who thinks I'm ignoring you on chat, I'm not ignoring you.
Yes, you are.
Going by, and I can't scroll backwards for some reason. Just one of those things. Let's see. While I got
can't scroll backwards.
I can't scroll. There's no going back. Seriously, he's saying CleanSpark's diluting right now, I think.
Diluting what?
Shares, I assume he's talking about. Jedi Knight. I like Hive and CleanSpark. Hut is on a dispute with their power supplier and announced possible litigation on the conference call. Not sure how the Hut power issue will play out.
That's not good.
So uncertainty is bad, for sure. They reduced their power cost drastically this quarter. So that was a big win for them, but obviously they've got a dispute with the power company, so that is not good. And they have, I mean, I thought those guys were kind of partnered up for an awful lot more work in the future, so. But I guess, I don't.
Yeah, do any of the miners have any exposure on FTX, Tom? That was a question.
I can't find any miners that have any meaningful exposure at all.
Did
No.
you hear who does? I
No.
mean, it made me really sad. You tell me God doesn't have a sense of humor. Kevin O'Leary.
Oh, seriously?
Supposedly, yeah.
I believe it. He's got his paws into every little part of, and this is not a little part. I mean, FTX was huge.
But you want to know what's really interesting? Now that this has all happened, right? Now everybody's talking about they're not going back into crypto until there's some type of legislation.
Now, sorry, I was reading. Alex was giving me the,
What's
I think, the verbatim from the actual report for HOT regarding their energy situation. So if you want to see that, it's in the chat. Which is just.
I hope nobody has money in Tether and their stablecoin too. If you do, get it out of there. Because here are the ones we didn't even know of this one, right? We know that's what Tether looks like. Or at least they're not telling us anything about Tether. You know what I mean? They're not telling us the important stuff.
Well, you guys all know we've been saying for months and months and months, the regulations that are coming are in two things. Number one, the exchanges. So here we go again. A massive, massive exchange becomes illiquid. And they're talking about, I've seen 3 different numbers, but somewhere around, this looks like it's an $8 billion problem. So in the grand scheme of everything, that's not big. In crypto, that is monstrous. That dwarfs everything else that's ever happened. So, you know, I think you've got your regulations coming for the exchanges. And then like George has been talking about, and the one you've been most worried about is Tether all along. You've got regulations coming on stable coins and exchanges. Those 2 regulations are going to be the bulk of the regulations that are coming, in my opinion, because that's your gatekeeper. That takes care of all the, now, you know, you want to invest in this or that, it's your choice. But when the foundation isn't working, then, you know, that's too dangerous. This is people's money.
Well, and I still don't understand how
Jeff,
they can write an agreement that they're not custodials of your money. You know what I mean? I don't even understand how that's possible.
I don't know what their rules and regulations are, but obviously you can see in this instance they used people's money to lend it to essentially their sister company, which then took big risks with it.
So I used to ask Tom all the time, you know, because I'm like, well, let's stake, you know, 18%, 20%, 30%, 40%. There's no risk, Tom. And that was the question. And there's a person I'm going to call out on this, and he's bigger than us, but I don't really care. And he was a big, big, big supporter of FTX. And it's Max, what's his name? Max Maher?
Oh, yeah. You showed me that guy, and you know what? I saw on my screen, I haven't watched it, but he just did a video on this. Like,
yeah, but I mean, he promoted the snot out of this company.
That was,
and
I don't like
when,
is what you're
right,
saying.
And I just hate it when people go, well, it's not my fault. The hell it isn't. You promoted it. It's your fault. This is why we haven't promoted anybody. Because we don't know what's going to happen. There's no regulations on anything. And you can't sit here and blame the company. Because look what is a kid going to do when he's in a candy shop? You know what I mean? He was a freaking kid.
He's going to do the same thing I'm going to do. Eat candy.
He's going to eat candy, right. And in this case, candy was money. And he just ripped through it. He didn't care. He just said, oh, you need another 100 million. Who cares? We got it. And that's the problem with these things. And by the way, the hope of any decentralized exchanges, you can throw that out the window. That's gone. And here's the other big smoking gun, and everybody thinks I'm crazy about saying this, but there's a very good likelihood that they're going to do something where when I say they, I mean Congress, that it has to do with Bitcoin. and they could outlaw Bitcoin, and everybody thinks you couldn't do that. BS, they can't do that. They can do whatever they want to do.
I am assessing the probability of that as infinitesimal.
I don't know.
That's
Not right now.
Not financial advice. That's
Well,
just my
did
opinion.
you guys? I don't know if anybody heard this one too, and this makes it even harder. Is decentralized that it's going to be a felony if you go and you try to use coin to coin without an exchange, so off network, which is just that
and that's not right, because
crypto.
honestly, if the whole point of all of this was not to have these gigantic exchanges that acted like banks where everybody kept their money. The whole point of all of this was to go peer to peer. And now nobody does that. So it's all flipped upside down at the moment.
And I'm sorry, you can't say the person that's responsible for this is the SEC, okay? Let's be honest. They should have had some type of rules and regulations by now on stable coins and exchanges.
He's been fighting and fighting. He wants to impose rules. He thinks,
dude, with the way executive orders work in the United States, it's honestly, Tom, don't believe when somebody says they want to and it hasn't happened.
But
I don't
you're
believe
talking about the difference between Joe Biden can do an executive order. Gary Gensler's hands are tied. He's jumping up and down saying, listen, all this stuff is securities. It looks like a security. It acts like a security. Now, I will say, he's been clear, Bitcoin does not fall in that category.
Yeah, I agree. It's a commodity. That's what everybody keeps saying.
Right. So Bitcoin has been singled out, but as far as he's concerned, everything else in the entire crypto universe looks like security, acts like a security, and so it should be under their realm, is his opinion. And
so what you're telling me is Gary Gensler doesn't have a direct access to the President of the United States. That's what you're telling me, Tom?
No, I'm telling you that he can't tell him what to do.
No, he can give him, if they cared about people's money, it's so funny is because here's a great example of you always watch what they do, not what they say. And, I'm not going to get into politics, but I can tell you that if he really truly felt that people were exposed at losing their money, they would have already had regulations. They've had 2 years, Tom. And this crypto's been around for 8 years now.
I know, and we did have an executive order that every department was supposed to hand in there. This is the speed of government, unfortunately. So nobody wins. Somebody's jumping on
Are you
your
hearing
bandwagon.
the horror stories? Are you hearing the horror stories about these people who have lost money or no?
Not specifically. I mean,
oh
I'm
my
sure
goodness, it's brutal. There's people that I mean people that don't have a lot of money that are losing, tens and hundreds of thousands of dollars. That is a lot of money to them. You know what I mean? It's a lot of money to me. You know what I mean?
Kevin is saying, let's have a conversation about Max Mahara. I think that's your buddy he's talking about.
Yes, that's him, Mahara.
Thomas F. is saying Bitcoin outlawed, ... not a chance. So I agree with him. You do not. Kevin's saying he promoted FTX so much on his channel. Yes. He has so many videos to edit.
Yes. I know, and I think
so apparently he did an apology. Kevin is sorry to interrupt, George. Kevin is saying his apology, he talked little responsibility for promoting them. This guy used to own a moving company like me. He
still does own it, I thought. And this is what makes me aggravated, Tom. And I hope you guys don't mind. I'm just spilling it all out there. Is that he has almost 500,000 subs. Okay?
Yeah, what's the deal?
What is the deal? That's my point. What is the deal? I mean, it just doesn't make any sense. I've been saying this from day one you've been saying this about crypto. You didn't believe me about Bitcoin, but that's okay. But hopefully people did.
Well, listen, that's why we both talk on the live stream on Friday.
Yeah. And then there's a whole nother thing. There's a story that some people got their money out. This is therapy for me too, by the way, Jeff. It's just so sad because here's the exact same thing that always happens is poor people lose all their money, and I'm a poor person, and it bothers me. Okay, it just bothers me that they make these rules and regulations, and they know everybody that has money knows what's going on. Maybe not everybody, but you know what I mean. It's a club.
The people in the know are in the know.
Yeah, yeah. I'm not going any deeper than that.
Davy Jones says, lesson to all, don't put your money into an exchange run by a Nintendo Wii hologram.
Don't get me going on Zuckerberg, you know. He got a lot of subscribers during the pandemic. Watch him because I already have a moving company. It's fun to watch. You know, I agree with him. I think he's got a good, what's the word I'm looking for? Tom, he's got a good like style. You know what I mean?
I don't know what.
Je ne sais quoi. In George we trust. Thanks, buddy. I try to speak the truth. I will tell you when I go back into crypto, and I'm not afraid of Bitcoin yet, by the way. And I still believe in XRP, and actually I believe in XRP more, and that's the one reason why I'm not 100% on Bitcoin anymore. And I don't know if anybody knows this, but I've been saying the XRP is going to 23 cents. So don't think that, I think it's going to be all sunshine and roses, because it's not. None of these are. I think we're in for the long haul, but if you can make it through, what is it, 2018? We're going through 2018 again.
Yeah, I mean, this has happened every time.
Yep.
I will say, I was not a believer. I did not think we were going to have a full-blown crypto winter. And I thought Bitcoin particularly would be immune from that.
Did you hear me?
What?
It's self-induced.
Yeah, I mean, to some extent, that's what a lot of the stock market is.
And I would love to tell you who's behind all this, but I will not tell you who's behind all this. And it's not who you think it is, and it's not the people that are being played out. Just so you know. Because remember, Binance didn't sell any of their tokens. Just realize who got involved in this whole crypto market, and you guys can put 2 to 2 together, and it's really funny that all this funky stuff starts happening. I wonder who it was.
This is a minor aside, pardon this public service announcement. If tech support is listening, I have an issue.
Are you trying to get rid of me? He's trying to get rid of me, guys.
I keep trying to cut George off, but it's not working. So no, I want to be able to read. I'm missing everybody's stuff. I see Davy Jones saying, Tom, what do you think of Core Scientific today? Life in the old dog yet? I mean, Core Scientific is not done. I would hate to buy it now after 44%, but honestly, you know what? It's up 44%. That's 6 cents. They're either going to win or lose. So 6 cents is nothing. They're either going to go back to $2, $3, $4, $5, or, and a lot of this has to do with the banks are in a situation. The banks are in just as tricky a situation as Core Scientific is. So there's a couple of these companies where if they can restructure their debt, and the ultimate example of that is Iris Energy, who basically just put out a press release that said, F you, to paraphrase, to the banks. And the way they set up their corporation, they have no response. They can walk away from those loans, and it's not their problem at all. So I think it's highly likely that Iris Energy will restructure all of its debt, because what else is the bank going to do? Either that or they can take a bunch of Bitcoin mining machines. So
let me tell you why I like CleanSpark, not financial advice. Right now, what I'm saying is, if there's 2 things that we have to look at. Obviously, I think that if we did a poll right now, which you probably should, is Bitcoin going back to 15,000 or is Bitcoin going back to 20,000?
Oh, you see, now I gotta. George, can you speak for a minute? I got to get my tech support because I can't even do a poll. Sorry, folks. I'll be back in 30 seconds or less.
So here's what I think about CleanSpark. I think CleanSpark has a good program together, but I also believe right now they're truly, truly undervalued. From my point of view, from what they have to offer. And remember, here's the other thing, is their whole database division, they're still running. Or did they sell it off yet? I don't know if Tom would know. I wouldn't know. But to me, it just the metrics are there that it should make a run. But like anything, if somebody starts to push this, what is it called? A short squeeze on like Bitfarm, that's entertaining. That could be interesting. It could be really interesting.
There's a lot of these companies that, the short interest is not gigantic. Sorry. The short interest is not gigantic in these, but that doesn't mean they can't go ballistic, because when it's the shortings, it's the same. A short squeeze is FOMO, essentially. When people panic, they're going to panic. And they're going to panic, cover their shorts. They're going to panic, buy in. And let me tell you, you're looking at the Bitfarms chart. I mean, look at, in the middle of the day, this thing was in the red, and it just went ballistic. So this is what can happen in a short period of time. And Core Scientific did the same thing. I mean, they were up. They were having a nice day, up 10%, 15%. Then all of a sudden it was 20%, and then bang, it's 44%. But the ones that are more significant to me, Iris Energy is trading still at a pretty high value. So for them to go up 24% in one day, Core Scientific's down 99%. So, okay, they went up 44% from that. That means they're down 98%. But Iris Energy is, a 25% move on the day is huge. And really, I mean, Bitfarms as well. Bitfarms got down to 68 cents today. Thank you, Kevin. Thank you very much, Kevin.
Hey, thanks, buddy.
Somebody must have picked the right stock today.
I can tell you one thing.
Much appreciated.
You know what's funny is I said Bitcoin 75 cents. I mean,
Bitfarms.
Bitfarm when it was like $1.20, I think is what it was. And I should have bought. I didn't even know. Unfortunately, I wasn't paying attention.
Well, listen, while you might have been thinking about buying it, I can tell you a lot of people, even on our channel and in the comments and that kind of stuff, a lot of people panic sold all their Bitfarms today. So that's why I think there was so much downward pressure this morning. And then I don't know who came in as a buyer, but once it started, it was on. I mean, this thing went from 68 cents to 85 cents. That's massive in a short period of time. And honestly, it's ridiculous at 85 cents in my personal opinion. So many of these stocks belong at numbers that are so much higher than this. But you're right. I mean, if Bitcoin gets worse, then it's going to get worse before it gets better. The miners, that's just the deal.
I mean, have you now? One of the things I think that I want to clarify is, I said that right now Bitcoin is broken. It's a failed project, and I mean it's not failing. It's failed. And what I mean by that is you can no longer mine it and make money. It was only profitable there for what? How many months? 18 months? 20 months?
Well, it's had its cycles where it has a period where it's super profitable.
Right.
And then, we get these crypto winners where almost all the miners get wiped out. Now, I do think a lot more miners will make it through this time. These numbers are different than numbers in the past. And some of them are going to be a small fraction of what they thought they were going to be. So, to that extent, it's almost kind of like they got wiped out. If you're going to be, you thought you were going to be 32 exahash and now you're hoping for 1, then you kind of got wiped out, even if you're still in business. Saying anything.
I got to interrupt Tom, because I got to go back to Max for a second, because Kevin said he got my blood going because of Max. You know what's interesting? You think that these guys didn't contact us to do these type of promotions and they didn't make money? You know what? Here's what I would have done is I would have done an apology video, and I would have took every single penny that I made from that and I would have gave it to some type of charity. I hope he's watching or listening, or somebody can tell him that. That's at least something he could do to make some type of amends to this. But I guarantee he's made, decent money. He's made
more than decent money. There's absolutely no question about that. I mean, he's making money from his channel. He has a lot of subscribers, and there's, he's not sponsored. They're not called sponsored videos for nothing. He's getting money for that.
Yeah, so. I know, and that's, you look at it. It happened. I think when you have a crisis like this and stuff happens, doing the right thing, to me, and this is my coup-dab moment, okay? Can you do any better? And this is part of how I try to really focus on life. Look at, I screwed up. This is all he has to say. Is, look, I screwed up. We looked into this company. We didn't know the whole balance sheet that where they had their money put. And Tom, do they even put a balance sheet out? Because Coinbase,
it's a private. Coinbase is different. See, and this is what people need to understand the distinction of. FTX, you don't get, some of these companies, if they're private companies, it's a black box. You don't know what's going on. Coinbase has to issue financial statements every quarter with the SEC. So now, is there still a lot of risk in there? Where we saw with Voyager, they were issuing their financial statements, and once things went bad, I even have to say myself, I then went back and looked at the financials and said, wow, why didn't I see that? They had massive risk in one counterparty that was just, that's one of the classic accounting red flags. But who's reading? I follow 300 companies. I can't read every single page, footnote, everything of every. So, but by the time you get to investing, you got to make sure. And I'm scared of all the exchanges, but I am much less scared of the ones that are publicly traded companies. I think those are going to be the winners.
Well, and yeah, the publicly at least there's some type of financial fiduciary responsibility, and this just goes to show you. I mean, who was that other guy in South Korea with Luna?
Oh yeah,
and and think about that. They can't even find him. By the way,
no, he's gone.
Yeah, there's no one gonna find him. But this is what gets me is that Max didn't say anything about this company doesn't issue any financials. And, I'm sure he scrubbed all his videos or took them down by now because he was like tied to the hip with this company.
Just so that you guys, this is why I think George is a little upset about it. George and I made a conscious decision to not, we had several of these companies, one in specific that I'm not going to mention, and they're still fine, but we both just said, you know what, we don't know what's inside the box, and we're not going to take money and do it. So
and I think anytime you go over the borders of the United States, and I'm not saying this to Canada, I don't know that much about Canada, but anytime you go over the borders of the United States, there is not as much scrutiny, outside of the United States as there should be.
Well, it definitely depends on what country you're in. There's some places that have more scrutiny. There's some places that have no scrutiny. So you gotta, If anywhere in the cycle you got the Cayman Islands in the middle, you might want to think twice about. Although actually a lot of people are kind of forced to go through there.
Yeah, I mean, of course.
Seth is saying charities are mostly scams too. That's true. You got to do your due diligence.
Yeah,
there's some more due diligence you got to do because we're not busy enough.
So during the hurricane, I found a company, and I'm not going to mention names because, I didn't dig too deep into them. But it's amazing the scumbags that come out and take advantage of these poor people that have gone through situations, and it's really sad. But there's a lot of them out there. And poor people over there on the other side of the coast of Florida. We're praying for you guys. Hope everything turns good for you.
Yeah, I'm hoping this wasn't nearly the scale of what the west coast of Florida got, but I guess we'll see. Seth is saying Bitcoin will become profitable again. So that's to you, George.
What's that? I didn't hear. I'm sorry. I was talking phone books thing.
This is from Seth. Bitcoin will become profitable again.
Oh, yeah, I believe so. I don't think it's completely failed. Wow, we got Kevin going today.
Thanks, Kevin. Thank you, sir.
I guess he has a thing for Max, I guess, because he does the whole thing with moving stuff. And that's a hard business, too, because everybody bitches when you move their stuff. There's always a scratch here and there. We have a small moving company because of what I do with emergency water removal. It's very small, but there's always people complaining, even though I got a really nice letter from somebody today.
Oh, Kevin's reminding us, sorry, Do Kwon, because I already forgot his name.
I thought it was Do Kwon.
That's the Terra Luna guy.
Is that Don't Kwon, is I think what you meant to say.
I don't know what stuff's going on.
So now that we all know crypto in some sort
Thank
of
you,
way,
Kevin.
what would be your thought process of how to, one, be safe with your money in crypto? I guess that's a real serious question right now. If you let's say for an example, if you have to keep money on crypto, where would you keep it right now? Would you say Coinbase? Because I heard rumors about Coinbase too.
Here's the thing. It depends what crypto you're trading. And for me, I would stick to this, and this is what I would do. A lot of you guys may know a lot about cryptocurrency. You may know 100 or 200 coins deep. I only look at the biggest coins. I am very afraid of, there's 20,000 coins and tokens out there. I think most of them are, for the most part, probably going to end up at zero. If there's a coin that is significant, it has a sizable market cap, it has utility, then, some of these are going to survive and thrive. But yeah, it's going to be this is going to look very different. There's a lot of pets.com tokens out there. If you guys all remember the Super Bowl commercial ads from 2000, right? Like almost all those companies that advertised in the 2000 Super Bowl are all out of business. And they were all out of business like within the next year. So I worry about the smaller coins. And
I have a question. You know what we should probably do, Tom? I got a great one for you. Is maybe we should do a video on which companies are compliant with United States. Because I know they had some compliancy things. Remember? I don't know. I know it's not the iOS 222, but I'm talking about the compliancy with, like, if they traded in the United States. Remember how Binance had to make a Binance US because the rest of Binance wouldn't work?
That's right. And they led in that area. So there's Binance, which is the real Binance, and then there's Binance USA, which is some tiny fraction that they have different rules for so they can operate in the United States. But I'm guessing most people don't even use that one. They just use a VPN or whatnot. Not that I endorse that in any way. And I don't do that. I would be afraid to have... The whole point of cryptocurrency was not to park all of your money on an exchange. So that's...
And I think the reason why people like cryptocurrency so much is, dude, there was a lot of movement. I mean, for an example, look at... who was it? Oh, yesterday. Oh, what's the name of him? The one, Tron. Look at Tron yesterday. I don't know if anybody followed Tron yesterday. Tron went up and down, up and down.
If you're a trader and you're on the right side of the trade, the altcoins are even better than the penny stocks. But that's like the equivalent. You can and look, I'm sorry, unfortunately, even though I love some of these companies, the Bitcoin miners have turned into penny stocks.
Yeah.
Right? I mean, you got Core Scientific at 19 cents. You got Argo Blockchain at 88 cents. Gree at 93 cents. Mawson at 39 cents. DigiHost at 71 cents. DMG at 17 cents. All these were much, much, much bigger prices. So, some of that's dilution, but honestly, the majority of that is just the fact that these companies' market caps are down 90, 95, 98%. However, at some point, we've already seen this because it happened a couple years ago. There's a 50x sitting out there if Bitcoin ever gets healthy again, because the Bitcoin miners 50x'd in a very short window of time. The last time Bitcoin did its thing. So I don't know when that's going to be. We might have to wait for years. I think, George, you think we got some pretty big pain coming in the middle?
Yeah, I do. I think we got a little bit. Oh, and Kyle, didn't you do a video about where Bitcoin has to go to for operating expenses? I mean, for an example, Bitfarms. What was the level that they could drop to and still remain some type of profitability? And I mean, when you say operating expenses, I don't know if that's including depreciation or not including depreciation.
Right now I'm doing, and today I put out one for Riot. So as everybody releases their financial statements, I'm sorry, not Riot. Right, today I put one out for Hut 8. So there's a Hut 8 video out there where I go in and explain and answer those types of questions. When when everybody's released, I'll do a chart that compares everybody. But in the meantime, one by one, that's what I'm trying to show. I'm stripping out all the non-cash items, right? Because if you saw my conversation with Jason, and if you haven't, I got the chance to talk to Jason Less, who's the CEO of Riot Blockchain, and he actually had a lot of great information, and I felt a lot of matters were cleared up in my mind after talking to him. I understood their business better. But my point of that is I'm going company by company and pulling out the non-cash items because the income statements are so confusing. They're not accounting for them wrong. It's just the accounting is now ridiculous. So the end of that story is, Hut 8 was profitable in Q3, even at Bitcoin 20,000, even after their direct cost of energy, even after all their cash overhead costs. So I back out non-cash compensation, but that was even a small number. And then you got to count interest, right? Because your interest, if you have debt, that interest expense keeps on ticking. So if your gross profit is bigger than all of those expenses, then you're good. You're still making money. I mean, it's a tiny fraction of the money that they were making at Bitcoin 60,000, but a lot of these companies are still actually profitable. The ones that are getting crushed, there's one thing you can add to that, and that's if you have a huge amount of debt, you got to start paying principal on that debt. Forget the interest. That's where you can get run over by the bus. So, let's say your overhead and your interest and all that is $12 million a quarter. Well, you could have $50 million in principal payments due on your mortgages. That's going to crush you.
You know what's interesting? I was thinking about this yesterday. I was watching the swing of the price of Bitcoin go up and down around $2,000. I realized there was somebody that was buying and selling and making just a ton of money yesterday. I mean, just making gobs and gobs and gobs of
money. On Bitcoin or?
On Bitcoin itself, yes. I mean, when it moves that much, Tom, I mean, this is just insane. When it stays, consistent, you're not really making that much money. But there are people that know they're up $500, they sell it, then they go back, it's down 1,000, they come back in, you know what I mean?
Well, yeah, and that's the kind of, this is the 4 hour, but we've had ups and downs, and I'm just going to spend a second on the 4 hour time frame. This was our flash crash low from the summer at 17,567, this red line. And on this 4 hour time frame, this is 1, 2, 3, 4 in a row that kind of touched this, some candle wicked above, but I'm afraid in the very short term here, this is starting to look like a line of resistance instead of support. So
right.
That could change over the weekend. So, it's way too early to call that, but little worried about the price action. But the market wasn't worried because the Bitcoin miners, Bitcoin was down and the miners were ballistic. And a lot of people, I think, thought I was nuts yesterday when I said, listen, this was a day we would have seen 20 to 25% to 30% moves in stocks. And I know people aren't used to that, but probably a lot of you are used to that because these small cap, high growth stocks and all the Bitcoin miners fall into that. That's the kind of moves we get. This day is not shocking. I see a 28% on the board, a 24%, a 26%, a 22%, a 44%. That's half the coins half the Bitcoin miners went ballistic. Jeff is saying cold storage only. So that goes back to not your keys, not your coins. So if you have a lot of money and you're not trading it, what the exchanges are good for is what George was talking about. If you're a big trader and, you got to take into account that there's some potentially steep fees on all these trades, but there is a lot of money to be made. I'm not a trader, and I don't forget cryptocurrency. I'm not a day trader in stock. I will swing trade sometimes, particularly with options, but I'm more of a long-term trader, investor.
Okay, I gotta ask because everybody wants to know, Tom.
Go ahead, fire away.
What is the 10K at?
Oh, it's devastated,
And
it's funny that you mentioned that. I want to show you a few stocks. I basically, what I was forced to do, and I feel like next year I got to do something different. Because I was not allowed to dollar cost average, the rules of that 10K was we're going to start with 10K and see where we can take it. So we haven't been able to add
Taking it to zero.
Yeah, we might be able to do. We can't.
Hey,
I can't dollar
can't
cost
run
average
from it.
in.
Did you hear me?
No, yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But I can tell you, I've got some moves today. So Curiosity Streams was up 13% today, and it was up big yesterday. So this is a stock I have been waiting for forever. So, like, when you look at the 10K challenge, was I wrong on Curiosity Streams? A lot of people, I think, would say you were wrong. You bought it at $3. It's at $1.74. But they just had a home run earnings report. In addition to that, Beam, if you want to talk about a squeeze, not that I'm encouraging that, but BEEM, the company Beam Global, they are the solar panel EV charging station. Let me bring them up. These guys crushed it this quarter. They just put out their quarterly earnings and they absolutely destroyed it. They're up 19% today. They were up 19 or 20% yesterday. Right? I mean, just a few days ago, this was here. I'll do the 5-day. Yeah, they ran up from 12 to 15, but they were a lot lower than that. They got down to under $9, and now they're over 15. So, and it's because their earnings report was huge. So this is another one. I feel like I've picked a good stock, but these are stocks that in my other portfolios I bought a little of, and I've dollar cost averaged my way in, and trust me, I'm still down on almost every single one of them. But I'm down the most. My worst portfolio ever is the 10K challenge. It's now under $3,000. And it's very Bitcoin miner heavy. And even today, on a day where things went nuts, I have HUT in there. So, HUT got beat up. So it's been a brutal run. I'm not going to shut it down. I'm going to let it go because I do believe in these companies. The ones we're looking at, Arrow, Arrow had a nice day. But one day does not help. I need
71% is what we're down, just so you know.
Right. So this is going to take, I'm in one of those scenarios where in that particular portfolio, it could be years before we get back to where we were. So I'm going to say that I'm not stopping it, but I'm going to say what I wanted to do failed in that portfolio. Now, I think we'll get back over $10,000 and beyond because I do still think we picked the right stocks. But listen, this is one of the 3 or 4 worst years in the last 75 years in the stock market. So
I'm calling it the worst year.
It could well be the worst year. So
because I wasn't traded in 1987, so.
Well, and that was a tough day. It wasn't a tough year. I mean, obviously, there have been a few days that have just been brutal, but this has been nonstop, especially for retail investors in these small cap high growth stocks. I mean, I have hundreds and hundreds of stocks down over 90%. I've got more than 100 stocks down over 95% on my watch lists. And now I have a watch list, and I have to keep them separate. Down 98% and down 99%. So these are companies that are probably, some of them are going out of business, but there's plenty of companies on the down 98% list that are not going out of business. So how long am I have to wait to get my money back? Could be a very long time.
Yeah, I heard that too about Bitcoin needs to drop to 3,000 to liquidate Saylor. That's never happening.
And the thing is, it only liquidates him on a small amount of his, and he can put additional collateral against that. So I feel like they're not going to get the. I don't even want to spread. Now I'm going to pull a George. I'm not saying it.
Hey, question: Can you do the poll now or no?
I believe I can do a poll.
Because somebody, Wisdom Bite says, Tom, are you planning for Bitcoin BTC at 12K or 25K in the next months? I think you said, and I'm sorry, Tom, I'll call you out. 30,000 at the end of this year. Are you still saying that?
Well, I'm saying it with an awful lot less confidence, but let me tell you something. There's almost 2 months left in this year, so I feel a lot better about 25,000 than I do 30. I feel like 30 might be out of reach, and we may not get to my 30, but I still think we have one relief rally. We were at 25,000 in August, so I think that's on the table for sure. 30 is starting to be a stretch.
Question as you do that, Saeed. He said, will CleanSpark get to their 7x a hash this year?
I mean, if they don't get to 7 exahash this year, that means it's because they got there in January or February 15th. They've already bought all of it. So they were over 5 exahash when they reported last month. And they've made, I added it all up. They've already bought all the exahash. They have all the infrastructure. So to me, it looks like they're pretty much a lock to get there. They could always get there 1 month late or 2 months late or 3 months late. We've seen that happen with so many of these companies, but it looks like they're getting there. What I don't know is, I don't know how they're getting to 22.4 exahash, and that's a rather specific number. So somebody somewhere has a plan, but I don't know what it is. And it's hard for me to figure out, especially if this, if this down cycle, if this bear market continues in Bitcoin, I don't know how they're going to get the capital required to get to 22. But having said that, 7 is off the charts for them. Right? They went into the year with 2. So what's our poll? Up to 25?
Yeah. What's Bitcoin going to retest 25 or 15?
Oh,
that's
15
like
could be tonight.
We got to
give a little challenge.
Oh my goodness, what is that right now?
It's 16 and change. 16.8? You want 15? You want that to be the other side of the poll?
Yeah, I mean, because 15.6, if it goes below 15.6, we're saying it's going to 15. That means below the 15.6 benchmark.
Right, that's true. That was where we called it, 15.6.
Oh, I have a question. Has Bitfarms said anything about the rest of their shares and, for their, capital raising
for
money
their at the market share offering that they have? Well, they report. So Bitfarms reports Monday before the market opens. So, and I don't know if that's what this frenzy was at the end of the day today. Everybody to get in before. I thought the opposite was going to happen. I thought everybody was going to panic and be afraid of what they were going to have to say Monday morning. But, it went the other way. So we will know exactly, every quarter they have to disclose how many shares they used of their at the market offering. So we're going to have an exact answer to that Monday morning before the market opens. My guess is it's the minimal amount they possibly could have, because they're not trying to sell shares at the market at 75 cents. So I would certainly hope that it's a small number. But
you mean left or that they sold?
No, I would hope that they only used as small a portion of that as humanly possible to stay cash flow positive.
I have a question. This dump that just happened could have been them selling, and would they have to tell you on Monday?
Oh, you're saying could it be the at the market offering that caused the dump in the morning, and then
or would they wouldn't have to tell you, would they?
No.
Yeah.
That's the point of an at the market offering, is
because that's what I think happened, by the way.
So after hours, you're seeing a big dip here. I don't know if something happened or if this is just after hours nonsense, because after hours typically bears very little resemblance to reality.
86, 76, 78.
Darren's saying 15 to 25 isn't fair. I assume you mean the
the poll.
The poll's not fair.
Well, the 15.
I agree.
We're saying it's going below the 15.8. I mean 15.6. You know what I mean?
Right. We had called 15.6 as the next point of our next line of support. So if it gets down to 15, I guess what George's point is, that means our 15.6 line did not hold and it's going lower. Michael Anthony's saying CNBC is keeping everyone away from Bitcoin and scaring everyone.
Oh yeah, I believe. I think that personally, if I can get it back down to 12, yeah. If I can get under 12, I'm gonna. It's like somebody said this the other week. You know, I'm gonna mortgage my house and get as much as I possibly can. So I'll be working for the rest of my life, or I'll be sitting on a beach.
This has been an
So,
exercise in unbelievable discipline. The market over the last, and really, it's since February of 2022 for most of the stocks on all of my watch lists. I don't know if you guys are, the same or if you trade more traditional blue chip type stocks. But for the small cap high growth stocks, things started tanking in February of 2021. So we're closer to 2 years away from that than we are a year and a half. So it's been a long, brutal run down. And I mean, it was 6 months ago when people were saying, don't tell me to dollar cost average in anymore. I'm sick of dollar cost averaging in. I've been doing that for a year. So here we still are.
well, it's a good one, booty. So I cannot move my coins off of my exchange yet. And they do this stupid thing where you have to keep them there for 6 freaking months before you can take them off.
Yeah, the exchange.
And that's Uphold.
Right. So there you go. You
That just
called
doesn't
them
even
out.
make sense to me. Well, I mean, why would they do that? Like, there's a great example of how messed up the freaking crypto market is. They did a direct debit out of my account. They can't do accounting. What are they counting votes over there? It's taking so long. I mean, come on. This is ridiculous. Come on, man.
Come on, man.
Yeah, it
JD's
drives me out
asking
of my
is
mind.
Shell going to buy out CleanSpark, and we're getting Crypto Craig saying I doubt it, and JD's agreeing, me too, but would be nice. Let me tell you this: if they sell, they better sell at a huge multiple, because that's all these stocks are so undervalued right now. If I was on the board of directors at CleanSpark, I would reject a $10 offer, 100% chance. I would almost certainly reject a $15 offer.
You brought up something that I wanted to talk about, and I've been waiting to talk about this. And that's about Twitter. People forget that Twitter, when it got purchased, everybody's crying about Elon Musk firing, half, 25%, whatever he fired, right? Everybody's saying he's the bad guy. He's not the bad guy here. He's just the guy trying to turn a company around to make money. The bad guy is the board. The board didn't have to approve this offer. The board could have rejected this offer and said, no, we're not selling. Those are the people that are the bad guys. But everybody forgets about how we got here. Those people should have never have sold Twitter. Personally, that's my humble opinion. It's very humble.
I came out and said I would have rejected that offer as well. Most people say that he overpaid for it, but somewhere in the middle, there's a healthy stock market somewhere in the future where the valuations on these things are going to change drastically. You can't sell your company when your stock's down 95%. I mean, you can if it's the last choice that you have, but that's where a lot of these Bitcoin miners sit, so they just shouldn't do it.
And this Dr. Phil must be a real doctor, just so we all know. And that was one of the reasons why I've always said we're going lower, is because technically, with the new terms, we are not in a recession right now. We are not in a recession.
Well, by the new definition.
Right, by the new definition. What, are you going to argue the definition? Definitions changes a word all the time. Remember when gay used to be happy? Now gay is something else.
I know.
Derogatory.
If it looks like a recession and it feels like a recession, if I pay, what did I just pay? Paper towels. I just grocery shopped a little while ago.
Last night. Didn't leave his house, trust me. He probably did it online.
I did it on Instacart. That's still grocery shopping. I don't care. It's still grocery shopping. So it was like, for 8 rolls of paper towel, it was like $18.
I know, isn't that insane?
I'm like, oh, that's wrong. That's got to be a mistake. And And no, they were all that. They were or more. So, to me, you know, when you see that kind of inflation and you feel it every day, like every time you go shopping, it's a reminder, hey, guess what? However they want to define it, this sucks. Everything's unbelievably expensive.
Have you changed your long-term output or thought process of Bitcoin, Tom?
I have not at all.
Okay.
This is a painful process, and this has gone on way longer than I expected. It's gone lower than I expected, but I don't see anything fundamental changing. And I read an awesome article today because whenever I see these articles, they make me feel better because I know the opposite is happening. It was some type of like big money is parting ways with cryptocurrency, and you know this FTX situation is the straw that broke the camel's back. There's never going to be Bitcoin adoption, and like the more of those stories I hear, the better I feel about this because there is going to be does anybody think there's not going to be regulations? I mean, there's regulations coming, and when those regulations come, it's going to be a boom for Bitcoin. Right now, I'm not a regulation guy, but that's just the reality.
I don't know if that's true yet, Tom. I mean, because they could put so much regulation on it that it really hampers the growth.
But what can they do to Bitcoin? Like I said,
I'm talking about the rest of it, sorry.
The rest of the crypto universe?
Yeah.
I mean, the crypto universe, I don't know how that's going to play out over time. I'm not nearly as confident in that. You might call me a Bitcoin maximalist. I don't feel like that's what I am, but I might practically speaking be something close to that.
But let's say, for an example, with Bitcoin, let's just say this. You can own Bitcoin, but you can only use these 3 exchanges. You can only trade them through these 3 exchanges.
See,
if you don't, it's a felony.
I think they can only tell you can only trade them through exchanges that follow the following rules.
Yeah.
So, however many people want to make an exchange that follows those rules. Or it's a felony. I mean, if they do that, that's obviously ugly.
That's what they're going to do.
But it's not going to stop. Let me tell you, it's not going to stop BlackRock. It's not going to stop, Kevin O'Leary's of the world. It's not going to stop retirement funds and hedge funds.
Did anybody else hear that the reason for the drop in Bitcoin was because of Silk Roads? Did anybody else hear about that? That the FBI, whoever the Fed, whoever had the Silk Road coins dumped them, and that's the reason why it plummeted? Anyone? Bueller? Anyone?
I heard that, but my source was you, so I don't count. Fred is saying, thanks for the informative interview with Jason Less from Riot. So you're welcome, Frederick. And I thought Jason was very open, and I'm sorry if anybody got bored. It got a little bit into accounting talk, but there was some wacky stuff going on there, and by the time he was done talking, it made sense to me, and they have some stuff going on with energy that I didn't realize. So I thought that was a really nice conversation, so I appreciate him coming on, and he did agree to come on next quarter, so when we get...
who I'd like to talk to is Stronghold.
We can contact them.
And do you know of any miners that are looking like they're going to get bought out and become not public anymore? Is that going to happen? Do you think that will happen because prices are so low?
What I think is going to happen to these miners is that, so I'm just flipping back here. This is the miner board. What I think is going to happen to some of these miners, and then I'm going to uncover, like, that's a duplicate, but you got BitNile, you got Luxfolio, you got MGTI. I thought I had more than that, but there's a lot of other smaller Bitcoin miners. I think those are going to be asset sales. I think some of, and I don't mean every single one that I just mentioned. I mean, from that list, the ones that don't make it, I don't think people are going to buy their company. I think they're going to let them go out of business, and it's going to be an asset sale, and people are going to buy their assets.
Yeah, but what if somebody is, has billions of dollars? I mean, wouldn't it make sense for them to come in and take one of these guys private and then
if somebody
do
wanted to
some
come
asset
in,
sales.
if
Because I mean, that's the rumor right now that I'm hearing, Tom.
if somebody wanted to
rumor,
come in
too.
and buy Marathon,
Bingo.
that would be a different story. They'd be wasting their time with DigiHost, or not that there's anything wrong with these companies, or DMG Blockchain. Those are all way too small to scale. But if a big person, if a big company comes in, where, let's face it, even let's take a look at where it's at. Even Marathon's down close to $1 billion in market cap. So, that's nothing for many companies to come in.
Here's a signal that you guys need to watch for, is when one of these companies gets bought and goes private.
Think that'll be one of the signs of the bottom?
I think that's one of the signs that we're getting close to
But you're talking about one of the big ones.
I'm talking one of the big ones. I'm talking one of the top 5.
Yeah, because I think outside of the top 5 or 6 or maybe 7, all the rest of them are either they're gonna have to make it on their own merits. They're either gonna get there or they're gonna fail to do so, and everyone else is gonna buy their Bitcoin miners at pennies on the dollar, like CleanSpark's been doing. So, and Jason said Core Scientific was not Core, Riot they're looking. So he hasn't committed that they're buying, but they're looking for opportunities, and I know.
Oh, really?
Yeah, they're looking for opportunities. We know Hut's been in a holding pattern for, a full year now. They've been in full-blown crypto winter mode. So I don't know, what these CEOs are thinking as to whether or not now is the time to start buying. Or, to me, I would, it's like stock. I would start dollar cost averaging in and start buying. So, if you're buying machines at $15 a terahash, I mean, buy some machines.
So what you're saying is there could be an announcement in the next couple of weeks that someone's buying someone.
I think we will get a steady flow of announcements along the lines of what we got where Mawson sold their Georgia plant to CleanSpark.
Okay.
You know what I mean? And then there's several other companies. Argo Blockchain had to just sell 4,000 Bitcoin miners because they needed the cash. Shaman is saying Bitcoin is the only digital currency that is not a Ponzi scheme.
I mean, I gotta think there's some other ones that aren't Ponzi schemes. I'm doing a cryptocurrency, guys, just so you know. I plan on releasing it here in December. I've already done one. Anybody can guess the name of it? Anyone?
DEFCON says MGTI. I know there's a few big MGTI fans out there, and that is a super volatile stock that if you're on the right side of that trade, there are people that have made a lot
Where is it right now? Is it up or down, or where is it on that cycle?
Let me go back to, it's at less than a penny. Go to the 1 week.
FTX under investigation by feds.
Look at this.
FTX US, so they had a US division.
That's their main division. So then they have international. I mean, this stock's down.
Wow, this is brutal.
Yeah, it's only 97.5%. That's actually not as bad as some of the other ones. I mean, obviously it's awful, but there were a lot of buying opportunities. There was a lot of trading opportunities on that one, I'll say.
Look at that. Determine whether criminal activity or security offenses were committed. This guy's going to jail. From a billionaire to a cellmate.
Well, he won't be the first person. Kyle, who is a member, is saying, I think Gareth has a bottom target of under 10K at the moment since the recession is not here yet on jobs and earnings. 85% down on Bitcoin, consistent with previous cycles. The only thing I don't know about that, yeah, so that's the 85% down that has been the previous crypto winters. My counter argument to that has always been, we did not get the upside. We did not get the blow off top. So I just always felt like this was things settling down to a more reasonable environment. We didn't get the blow off top where we should have gone up to, 150 or 200,000 and then had an 85% pullback from there. So if this is going to turn into a world where we don't get the upside in the bull markets and we get 100% of the crypto winter bear side, that's not a good sign. But who is Gareth? Is that somebody on our stream right now?
Hey, I got one for you. Does anybody have TikToks? If they do, they need to add Andrew Dice Clay. And it's so funny what he does. No, he's not doing any dirty jokes or anything like that. He just goes up to people. He goes, "Hey, I know if you've been standing here. You want my picture or what?" And they go, "Who are you?" He goes, "What? It's me. It's me, Andrew." And they're like, "No, we're good. Can you tell it? Give us the It's so funny. It's just classic.
Are they
if
too
it's
young?
I would do.
What?
Huh?
Are they too young?
It doesn't matter what age they are. Nobody recognizes them.
You would recognize Andrew Dice Clay if he walked up to you.
No, you wouldn't. He really looks a lot different. He put on a lot of weight. But I just think he's so freaking funny. It's so funny. It's just, it's good, clean humor. And I can't believe I'm saying that.
It's the exact opposite of good, clean. I think he's funny, too, but it's not good, clean humor. Well, now it sounds like what he's doing is a little bit different, but... He was whatever the 100% opposite of that was.
Yeah, he's
was
just
his 80s deal.
He's a has-been, you know what I mean? But it's so cool just to see, I just think it's neat to see him. That's why I thought it was funny.
Gary Pallett, if I'm pronouncing that right, who's also a member, is asking, Marathon has mined 24 blockchain, 150 coins in 10 days of November, on pace for 450 with 7.0 exahash. Something's not right. You're right. I've been watching that every day, and something is wrong. They're mining 2 a day, 1 a day, 3 a day. Their mining since November started is way off, and it looks it looks like they're not exahashing at 7 right now. So I don't know if they shut a lot of machines down. I don't know.
Here we go again.
Right, like. This is what I'm saying. Finally gave them credit because they put 2 months in a row together, and now are they going to stick it to us all in November? Because, I mean, things do not. Thank you for bringing that up, Gary. Things do not look good so far. Now, there's a lot of month left, so let's see if they can turn it around, but something's going on.
You read what Kyle just wrote.
Kyle
Colton, he was the first comedian to sell out Madison Square Garden. That's amazing. Wow. Did you see what he said? He's being funny. I thought it was funny. Kyle. Strut.
Kyle. Gareth Soloway, first comment on the above. You read only the second comment. Come on. I'm a member now. Yes, thank you, Kyle, who is also a member. Let me go back. I told you I was having trouble with my... I'm having technical trouble, but I have figured out how to scroll backwards now. Tech support did come in the middle, so I'm back. I'm back online. So also, if everybody could smash the like button, please.
Yeah, we've been going for an hour, and we just finally said that.
Smash the like button, and if anybody who's interested in joining, and I'd like to thank all the members right now. If you do want to join, you can hit the join button on YouTube. I think it's $5. Obviously no obligation, but there's some extra content, and we have an extra live stream, so
yeah,
would love to have you guys on that.
Oh, I didn't see Mike McCormick said Tether will collapse. I did not see that, Mike. Yes, you are right. I would imagine. Nothing to see here. But I figured Tom and I, during the course of looking at Tether, we did a deep dive on Tether. And we figured out how they were doing what they're doing. And I'm not getting into it because I like living.
That's right. We know nothing. See nothing,
Who was it?
know
Did
nothing.
you see
Kyle
somebody
saying
just came
I am
out?
really funny. You're funny, Kyle?
No. What am I? Am I a clown?
What?
I'm here to amuse you?
Yeah.
Sorry.
Funny how?
Yeah. Who was it? I took a picture of it, so I remember who it was.
Oh, so Gorilla is asking me a question, and it's interesting because I had this conversation with tech support last night. He's saying, Tom, could you do an interview with Fred Thiel from Marathon? Would love to see it. I literally, after I talked to Jason, like some of these guys,
Oh, I didn't do it.
men, women, whatever the case may be, they're excellent in front of the camera, and they're very good at getting their point across and communicating.
Who are you talking about?
I feel like Fred Thiel is not one of those people.
Oh, yeah.
He just looks like an angry. I'm sorry if you're watching, Fred. You're welcome to come on the show and talk. I'd love to have you. You just seem like somebody that's not your bag. So we'll see. I can reach out to them, but I wouldn't hold my breath. I don't think that's his deal.
Well, I don't think they're not our buddy either right now.
Well, we have not been particularly kind to Marathon over the last year. But, I mean, listen, we've been calling it like we see it. They had a very tough year.
You're Canadian, so do you know, what are the brothers' name? No, not the Farley brothers. Who are the other ones?
McKenzie brothers.
McKenzie brothers.
Bob and Doug McKenzie. So Kyle is from Canada. Welcome from Canada, Kyle.
I did that the other day and no one knew what I was doing. The do. Remember?
Oh, I remember. Are you kidding me?
I thought that was Canadian Bacon. That was probably the funniest movie. I mean, it's kind of dry. It's real dry humor, but it was funny back then.
It's hard. A lot of those were very funny at the time, and just so much time has passed, they don't necessarily hold up. But the McKenzie brothers were very funny. And if you want to, the thing that did hold up, in my opinion, is they have a Christmas song. They do the 12 days of Christmas. Oh, the 12
days is, yeah.
That, I think, I still laugh when I hear that. So it's usually only once or twice a year, but.
That could be Colton. That could be what it is, because we're basically from Canada, being from Rochester, New York.
Daywalkers. Yeah, exactly. We were across the border. Well, if we could swim across the lake, we'd have been in Toronto.
It's actually at an angle.
Yeah.
Toronto's like at an angle.
Well, you can't swim across one of the Great Lakes.
Kyle, you forgot the most. Well, I wouldn't say he's a comedian. I think he's a comedian. He's kind of a comedian. The biggest guy to come out of Canada. Who is it? Do you know who that is, Tom?
Ever? The biggest?
Yeah, biggest guy. Bigger than Jim Carrey. I think bigger than Jim Carrey.
In Hollywood or music?
Yeah, Hollywood. Hollywood, yep. You can take Jim Carrey back, by the way, Kyle.
I just want to say Daywalker called out Joe Pesci from Goodfellas. That is correct. And Barry is saying Fred got burnt. Are you talking about us right now or in general?
I think Fred got lit. I think that's what you meant to say.
Darren's saying next quarter with Jason, get him on the live stream. I'm going to tell you guys right now, and today's a perfect example. I'm always afraid to talk to one of these guys on live stream because I have many things that I can do well. For whatever reason, it would seem that tech is not one of them anymore. So I don't want to be on a live stream with one of these guys and be fumbling around, not being able to do this or that, or my screen freezes, or...
Let's be really honest. Tom doesn't want me to meet these people because he's like, they're going to think he's associated with me, and, Tom, talks about all this geeky stuff, the second digit on this spreadsheet doesn't look proper, and, they geek out really bad together. He doesn't want to tell you that.
Well, you're welcome to talk. I'm sure they would listen at the Bitcoin conference. People enjoyed talking to you.
No, they didn't. They ran away from me.
I was throwing you a bone, but okay.
Who was that guy that we met? Who was the tall dude that we met?
John Sally liked you. John Sally.
Yeah, him and I, we rapped.
Yeah, former NBA superstar and legend John Sally.
See, your name is Tom, and somebody told me something else. Oh, God. That's funny. Just so you know, I take, and Tom, does all the due diligence and the thought process of stuff, and then I can compute it in my brain, and I realized what was going on with Bitcoin early on, and I realized that it was a game. And there's one game I'm really good at. It's called Monopoly. And I think that what's going on right now is basically monopoly, and you only have 21 million houses that you can buy.
Well, and that's the other thing about Bitcoin. I mean, Bitcoin does act differently than all the other, and I don't know why. They were the first one. I'm not sure why everybody decided, hey, this great thing that works just right. Let's do everything different, a million different ways. That's just my opinion.
Yeah.
Bitcoin hash rate down 15.5% in the last 24 hours. Sometimes there's these wild swings from day to day in hash rate. I'm just not sure what's going on. I don't know if that's true or if they miscalculate or if there's some average over time. It doesn't make sense to me when 50 exahash disappears from one day to the next. I just don't see how that's possible.
Oh, Kyle, before you go, I have to tell you who it was. Shatner.
William Shatner.
Yes.
He's from Canada?
Yes, he is.
Captain Kirk?
Yes.
Ah, well, then I agree with you. Kyle was saying Ryan Reynolds, who I would also...
No, they said Justin Bieber, and I guess he is too.
Well, Barry said Justin Bieber, but I think he was joking. But Kyle said Jim Carrey, Ryan Reynolds, Eugene Levy, who's also very funny.
Yeah.
And Ryan Reynolds is on fire right now, so...
But, I mean, Shatner's pretty funny.
Shatner is funny, and he makes fun of himself. He's self-deprecating. I think he's a great guy, and man, he's.
I used to watch him on Boston Legal, and I just think he's got a great sense of humor. And
he was so funny on that show. He's
a superstar. Unlike John Sally, but yeah, John Sally was he's 7'1", right?
I don't know. He's he was
very
tall. He played in the NBA. He's super tall.
So I was talking to him, and he's like, dude, why are you so comfortable with me? I'm 7'1". I said, so what? My cousin's 7'1". My brother's 6'10". My best friend's 6'9". Who cares?
We for some reason I'm surrounded by very tall people.
Beaver's a joke, but sadly from Canada. Oh, it was a good time. I better run, because if I don't, I'll get a divorce.
All right, George, thanks for joining us.
Like you guys all, too.
Thoughts?
I had a lot of fun. Oh, 66 people said it's almost 50-50.
Oh.
People think it'll go up to 25, but 15 did win.
Let me see. Are we calling it? Are we calling the poll?
Yeah, call the poll.
Down to 15, so I'll give it 30 more seconds.
I should have said 10.
Over. They
should have said
10.
Up. Did you hear me?
That would have been, well, yeah, and then we would have seen who would have won. But the down to 15 that's not a decisive win, but 56-44. Poll is over. Thanks for participating. Thank you, George. Sounds like you got to go do your thing. All right, tell everybody.
You guys, great talking to everybody. Miss ya.
All right, switching over to no George mode. So, all right, let me catch up on the live chat since I figured out how to work this thing now. Oh, Kyle's saying easy on the John Sally superstar title. Great player, but I know I exaggerate. But I'll tell you why, because I think John Sally's about my age, and I don't think he's going to the Hall of Fame, but he was a great player, and he was on those Detroit teams that I didn't even care for very much. But John Sally was just one of those guys. He just lit up the screen. He lit up the room. He had a big smile. He was always making everybody happy, and he was a great ball player. So it's just somebody that I remember from my youth, if you will, that, I liked him. He was one of my favorite players, even though you're right. Superstar would probably not be the word most people would use for John Sally. Most of you probably don't even know who we're talking about, but he was an NBA player in the 80s and 90s, and we did meet him at the Bitcoin conference, and I haven't called him back, but he said he wanted to come on and talk. I'm just not sure what he wants to talk about. So, anyway, that's John Sally. Oh, Seth gave us a like. Thank you, Seth. Kevin saying, let's review John Sally's best season, sir. Great player, good player, but yes, very memorable. Yeah. Yeah, listen, I'm not going to argue that. Nobody's asking whether it's Michael Jordan or John Sally. I understand that completely. He was one of my favorites at that time. So, yes, he was a very good player, and I liked the league a lot at that time, too. It was a lot of competition. Kyle's checking out. Bye, guys. Thank you, Kyle. Thanks for being a member, and thanks for joining the live stream. Appreciate it. Have a great weekend. Kevin's saying, Silvergate Capital loaned money to Mara. Is that true? And other miners, they're having some financial issues. Well, I mean, Marathon's loans, other than their they have a short-term $100 million loan that is not so great terms, but the rest of what they're doing, they got a bunch of time is on their side for the rest of what they're doing. But $100 million right now is a lot of money for all these guys, and obviously, they're all still spending a lot of money on equipment, trying to get to the, Marathon's still talking 23.3 exahash. Yet, as we saw earlier, somebody pointed out, they're on pace for 400 or 450 this month. So, they got a long way to go. I'm gonna make this. Oh, let me see if I can do it. It's blocking patient Bill. It's blocking you. Let's see if I can unblock it. I don't. I wanted that to go public, but I don't believe you. I'm calling you out on that, but you can tell us if it's true. Gorilla is asking, do you think the worst is behind us? Seems inflation has peaked after CPI report. I'm always, one report always scares me. It was a good report. We saw some of the things we wanted to see in there. It's not like it was the greatest report ever. I will tell you that here's one of the things playing in their favor in a big way. The comps are going to start getting better. So, right, because we're almost a year into this high inflation. So, they're going to start having better numbers to comp against, and that is going to help. But I want to see at least a couple of more CPI reports that show us, because like I said, going to the grocery store is not showing me that things are getting better. And to be fair, even in the CPI report, food was up. Food was up. Oil was up. There was some other stuff that seems to be coming down and starting to act a little more normal. But I would like to see that spread to, food, that's what we buy, food and fuel. So I don't know. And I'll tell you, we took out, so I'm going to go to the Bitcoin. We took out my line. I'm going to go to the 1 week. So I have to admit, this is the 1 week. This was the flash crash on June 13th. So that was 5 months ago. And even though this is the 1 week time frame, the 1 day candle looked the same. We candle wicked all the way back up here in a day. And however, these are lower lows now. So even with Bitcoin, I'm not sure where we're going. The market has had a nice 2-day rally. And today's a Friday. And it's another Green Friday. So, maybe the end of the year we're going to get this rally after all. Also, the small cap high growth stocks, I happen to have a list of some of those up on the screen, other than the Tattooed Chef, which had some bad news and got crushed today. Look at these moves. This is what goes. There's my Curiosity Streams up 13.73%. Fubo's up 11%. Honest is up 15%. Palantir is up 10%. SoFi's up 11%. These are big moves. Paramount Pictures, which is what I've done a couple of videos on Paramount Pictures. they've been struggling. They're at lows, but today they had a big up day, and I really think, so I'm just saying, not financial advice, I think their business model works, and I think people are going to be very surprised on where Paramount goes, in my opinion. Where can you track how much Mara mines on a daily basis? I got to go to my other computer, but there is a website that tracks. You know, it's weird because the other website that tracks everybody's mining, every time Marathon mines a block, it says unknown. So I don't know why they're doing that to them, and I think that's at btc.com. So if you see an unknown, almost all of those are Marathon, but there's another website that just strictly shows the coins that they're minting, as well as, you know, it's allegedly tracking their exahash. So that's the one that I look at. You know, I don't know if it's perfect, but it seems like it's semi-real-time data. Let's see. What would Bitcoin need to drop to before Mara HODL wouldn't cover their debt encumbers? Yeah, that number's coming up. I don't want to, so don't quote me on this, but I think it's like 13,000. Most of their Bitcoin is encumbered, and that was not their intent. It is only because Bitcoin is at 16,800 that that's what it's turned into. So there is a point at which that could get called on them. So don't quote me. I'm not sure. It may not be 13. There was 2 or 3 companies I was looking up. I know one of them was 13,000, but if you look at their financials, they're, you know, most of their Bitcoin's encumbered. They've got a lot of Bitcoin, and it's all on that short-term line of credit too. So unfortunately, that's the same. They made the same mistake that Bitfarms made, but Bitfarms made it 10 months earlier. You would have think they would have learned from it. Barry's asking, have you ran out of diesel yet? Any panic? I mean, one of my kids' cars is diesel, so he's still been able to fill up, but I have heard diesel horror stories, so I think that's looming. So just because we haven't looked, yeah, Marathon was down 2% today. So there was a couple that were down. Marathon was down, Riot was down, Hut was down big, but mostly a very green day. But what I was looking at is the NASDAQ was up another 1.88%. It's at 11,300. So this is way off of its lows. I should have gone to TradingView to do this. But, I mean, you can see the NASDAQ was at over 16,000 a year ago. It got down to very close to 10,000 once, and then again. So, I mean, we're only at 11,300. We're not that far off the bottom, but mostly it's this 2 day. The NASDAQ was up 7% yesterday. I mean, I don't remember a day where that has happened. Maybe it has. Maybe there's some days. I don't remember a day where one of the major indexes like that was up 7%. And everything was up huge yesterday. And now we have a green Friday. So there is a little something to be potentially optimistic about here. What do you guys think? Have we bottomed? Are we going up? Are we going down? I think I'm caught up on the live chat. So everybody must be out of stuff to say. Anything else anybody's thinking about this week or want to talk about that we did not get to? You know, Marathon also announced their earnings, but I feel like they they did not file their 10Q with the SEC. Instead, they filed a report that it's going to be late. So I'm not sure what's going on there. Let me just scroll down here. Yeah, see, Marathon Digital Holdings reports third quarter results, but they did not file their 10Q, and that was as of noon today. So if they have subsequent to that, then I apologize. But as of noon today, they had not filed, and they did file. I'm going to call it an extension. That's not what it is. But they filed a report that said they're not going to be able to file it on time, and it's going to be late. So sometimes, that could come. The 10Q could come the day after they file that report. So I don't know when it's coming. I thought we were going to see their financials. Riot's financials I've gotten to take a look at. Hut 8's financials I've gotten to take a look at. Crypto Craig saying this is all a dead cat bounce. Alex is saying it will depend on December CPI. So, and before I get to that, Darren saying, by the way, Nikola, a couple of monster days. I know. And I do have some, I think, March 2023 Nikola options that I bought. I talked about that on the live stream maybe a month or a month and a half ago. So I held on to those because these are the types of things that happen. That thing could move back into the money at any time. And Alex, I agree. I think that December CPI report, that report's going to come out while the Fed is meeting. And then they're going to do their Fed rate the next day. So that's going to be a big, big, big deal. So that's what I'm saying. I feel like in the middle of that, we got a little reprieve here for about 3 weeks where, maybe nothing giant is coming at us. But then we're going to get CPI data and Fed raising the rates. And I'm just going to go to this. This is the tool I use. This is the CME group. And this is their watch tool. I don't know why this is fuzzy on this screen, but this is now for the December 14th meeting, 85%, it's 85% priced in that it's going to be a 50 basis point hike. So I will tell you, that surprises me. I know everybody's been talking that way and things have been leaning that way, but I'm not convinced that that's the case. If that CPI data is not good news, if it gives Jerome Powell any excuse whatsoever, I really think they want to do another 75 basis points, but obviously pretty much the entire market disagrees with me on that one because it's now looking like 50 basis points is all but completely priced into the market. Daywalker saying it depends on DXY. That's a good point. Let's go. So, see, we got another. So, I did, in one of my videos yesterday, I did talk about, I gotta zoom in. Let me go to the 1 day. This has been very good news. So, this yellow channel, this is the entire year of 2022. This green line was a 20-year high. So, we took that out, 5 months ago and ran up to 115. I was worried 22 years ago we did run all the way up to 121, but this looks like it may have been the top, and now we've broken out of this channel to the downside, and this is the second daily candle. This daily candle is going to start and finish below this trading range. So I'm hoping we pull back to 103, and remember, it's not like that's crushing to the dollar. 103 is still very, very high. So it just puts things in a little bit more balance. I think the market and crypto will benefit hugely and probably have from this pullback already. And if we can get down to 103 or 100 or maybe even 98, that would be monstrous in my opinion. So good point. That was Daywalker. Alex is saying maybe end of year rally if good December CPI and 50. Yeah, if that thing's not 50 basis points in December, then the market's going to tank because you can see it's been priced in at 50. Everybody thinks it's going to be 50. So we need that's exactly what we need. We can have a nice little rally in the middle, but come December 13th and 14th, we need a CPI report that people are happy with. That will allow the Fed to do 50 basis points, and then maybe we can have some more of a little bit of a longer-term run. Sour Melon Gaming saying Marathon is way too back for me to want to buy any on their stock. I'm not sure if you mean their stock is still too high versus their summer lows, or that their performance operationally just isn't where it's supposed to be. Let's see, I missed a couple of things here. Kevin D, any thoughts on Argo? Apologies if this has been covered. No, we have not talked about Argo. I mean, I am not in Argo. I don't have good feelings about Argo. Argo had to sell, and some of this is, you know, perception sometimes is reality. Argo at one point last month had to sell a bunch of their brand new in-the-box machines. That is deeply concerning to me. So, and obviously their stock has crashed. Where's that list? Everything looks funny now. What'd I do? Oh, so I don't know why we were actually on Argo for some arbitrary reason. So they're at 88 cents, but you can see, like, this was their August 8th. They were up at almost $7. Their lows from this summer were $3.70. So that was their all-time low trading on the NASDAQ. They are now at 88 cents. I mean, they're down. They're down 75% off of their lows from this summer. I mean, that's catastrophic. So, you know, for me, there's 5 or 6 or 7 of these stocks that have had this happen. So, you know, if you want to pick 1 or 2 and take a gamble, I feel like that's what it is more than anything else. But I haven't done the deepest of dives. I read their financials and I saw what happened to them recently. So to me, I don't feel great about them. I certainly have so many ahead of them as far as Bitcoin miners go. I would not invest in Argo, but not financial advice. You guys gotta do your own thing, which you do. Oh, crypto maniacs going left field on us, or should I say right field? We got crypto maniacs saying Trump might be Speaker of the House and announce his presidency nomination next week. Watch DWAC squeeze to $100 plus. So I don't know if any of that's going to happen, but I will say DWAC is one of those that is unbelievably volatile. So that could squeeze. I mean, the moves in that, anybody who's been a good trader on that stock has made a lot of money. And again, I'll just reiterate, that is not my strength. I'm not a minute-to-minute, day-to-day trader. That's just not my bag. But I watch, and I mean, I can see that could go nuts. It has in the past, and it goes up hard and it goes down hard when it goes down. Barry's asking me, does the coin video keep changing? I've got it 100% prepped and ready to record. Fundamentally, I mean, the price of coin. And he's talking about Coinbase, and that's the video I'll be doing and posting this weekend. I wanted it out today, but just so much has been going on lately. And then after that, we have, what do we have? Fuel Cell, I believe. I'll double check. But yeah, my thoughts have not changed. The price of coin has changed, but my thoughts on them have not changed. So that video will come out this weekend for sure. Love saying, I'm so used to the red, it's become hard to believe there's any green. There's disbelief in the psychology market cycles chart. It'll be a while until people believe in the reversal. So that's happened to us a lot of times. And we've been, this chart's a perfect example. A little run up, bang, we get crushed. A little run up, crushed. Run up, crushed. It's just, we've been through so many of these that you're right. It's, people don't believe. Saeed, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing that incorrectly, is saying, where do people see that CleanSpark may be bought out? I'm not seeing that anywhere, and I don't think they would sell. CleanSpark seems to have a plan, and if I feel like they're executing it. So I don't know why they would sell right now unless somebody came along with an offer they can't refuse. Darren saying, last year I made $1,000 in a minute on DWAC until they halted. Yeah, I mean, that's awesome, Darren. those are the kind of things you can do. I got lucky a couple of times over the years, and I've just pretty much stayed away now because I don't want to. It's such a grind making money, long-term investing. I don't want to have the opposite happen. I don't want to lose $1,000 or $5,000 in 15 minutes or an hour. But I will tell you, at the very, very beginning of AMC, I got very lucky. I sold, like, I'm not kidding, 15 seconds before they traded halting for the first time. And my option was up like 1,800%. And I had just bought it. So I bought it, I sold it. It was insane. I'll probably never have another trade like that just because I'm not in the market for that. And Crypto Maniac is saying DWEC is highly shorted too. So if it's a potential short squeeze play, that helps as well. Yeah, that's one. I mean, those are some of the ones I have on stock watch lists that I'm probably never going to trade, but they're fun to pay attention to because just wild, wild swings. So I'm just going to, we got 39 likes. We're doing good. I'm going to ask the like button one more time. Oh, I'm pressing the wrong button. All right, anybody left? If you haven't smashed the like button, if you could do me a favor, it does help. I know it seems silly, but I appreciate it. And also, again, you can hit the join button on the channel if you want to become a member. And so, like the coin video I'm making is going to be for members only. That was a vote, and they selected that coin video. So, it's there if you want it. I'm just mentioning it. Jeff is saying, thoughts on Bitfarms earnings Monday. I'll tell you what, my thoughts are all over the place because yesterday and this morning, it seemed like people were exiting Bitfarms like it was, going to zero. And then it just stopped on a dime and it's up 22% on the day today. I just don't think there's going to be any surprising news out of them. I'd like to see that I have the same expectations. They've already dialed back their expectations on exahash. So I think we know where they're going to be there. And I don't think they're going to reduce that again because they really already have the machines that they're talking about reaching by the end of the year. So I think they may tell us that they're going to continue to slow down even further on their Argentina project. Right, a year ago, by now, this was going to be 210 megawatts. And now, we're in early stages. And I don't mind them walking or crawling before they run on that, particularly in this very, very bear market. But the rest of it, I'm not expecting a surprise. So I'd like to see what happened to all their debt. I'm hoping that we may see some debt was shuffled around. I want to get a good understanding on exactly what, I'm going to be looking at their liquidity. That's the number one thing. We talked to Ben at great length. He kind of, I'm not going to say he assured us, but he let us know he felt they were doing a great job at cost control. So I expect to see the costs in a good place. So the question for me is going to be how's their debt look? Have they done any restructuring? What's the deal there? That's the only surprise that I can see. So I'm hopeful that that's going to be, and I don't think these reports are moving the needle, but we'll see. Alex is saying, bye, Tom and fellow millionaires in BTC, hopefully. All right, Alex, thanks for joining us. If you're still here, if you're gone, sorry I missed you. Thanks. Appreciate it. And Tom Dennis is saying, what made Bitfarm pump like that today? And I'll tell you, I don't know. It wasn't even an unusually high option. It ended up being a little bit higher, but it was not. I don't know. Darren's saying capitulation, reversal hammer. So, yeah, I hope so. I mean, that's 85 cents to me. It's up 22%. It's up 15 cents on the day to get to 85 cents. I mean, this thing's at $150 million market cap or something like that. It doesn't make any sense. So that's why I'm looking forward. And it is what it is now, because they will report Monday before the market opens. So you guys definitely will get a Bitfarms video from me on Monday, because I will be reading that financial statement first thing Monday morning. Jeff saying, I want to see the debt and the cash. Yeah, I completely agree. That's exactly right. Awakened Soul Bitfarms is already down after hours. I know. I saw that. I try to ignore after hours because sometimes wacko things happen in after hours. So I'm hoping that's all that is. Because the volume is very, very, very low, especially for stocks like this. You know, if Apple's reporting earnings, there could be massive volume after the market closes in after hours. But a stock like Bitfarms, sometimes it's just a few shares that traded, and then all of a sudden it looks like a disaster happened. All right, so I'm going to wrap it up, but I want to say thanks to everybody who's a subscriber, everybody who has liked my videos. The channel has been doing well in a very tough time. Most of the other financial channels I know are struggling with their views. So I appreciate you guys for coming back and watching my videos consistently. And it's a gigantic help that you guys leave comments. And hopefully you notice I do read every single comment. I try to respond to them. Sometimes I get a couple of days behind and have to catch up. But I appreciate those comments. Not only because a lot of them are insightful and we got a lot of great conversation going on, but obviously also that helps me in the algorithm. So much appreciated for all the views and the likes and the subscribes. And we did reach, in the last week, we just reached, I think I'm just going to do a little video on this because it's not really a big deal, but we just went over 1 million views on the channel. And we just went over 100,000 hours of watch time. So a lot of that is you guys. So I just want to thank you very much for that. It's much appreciated. Colton, have a great weekend. Darren, have a great weekend. Daywalker, Crypto Craig. So thanks a lot, everybody. Enjoy your weekend. And I will be putting some videos out over the weekend. And hopefully nothing nuts happens with Bitcoin. Of course, unless it's to the upside. All right, so enjoy your weekend, everybody. Thanks again. Have a great night.